Welcome to Wisdom of the World. Today I'm going to tell a Yiddish story, a Jewish story, so it probably comes somewhere from Eastern Europe. It is about, do parents own their children? And it's called The Princess and Vanke, the Shoemaker's Son. So once upon a time, there lived a king. He had one daughter, and there was a shoemaker who had one son. They both went to the same school. And, as it turned out, the princess actually was quite a poor student, and Vanke was the best of his class. And those two always played together, they studied together, and because Vanke was such a good student, he taught the princess many subjects. And as they spent a lot of time together, they eventually fell in love with each other. Now, the king wanted to see who the friends of his daughter were. So he comes to school and he sees the girls playing with the girls, and he sees the boys playing with the boys, but he sees his daughter, the princess, playing with Vanke. He didn't think that was appropriate. So he decided to put her in a different school. And the princess said to Vanke, I still would like you to tutor me and to play with you. But my father's sending me to another school. So the shoemaker's son said, okay, no problem. And he also eventually joined that school. And so the king again went to watch who his daughter was playing with, who her friends were. And again, he sees Vanke playing with her. So he says, So he decides to send her to school in another town, and to also make sure that no other new students are admitted. So she goes there, and then Vanke applies for a job as a teacher, gets a teacher job there, teaches her class. And again, when the king comes by to see who her friends are, again, he sees her playing with Vanke. And the king said, oh, I really must do something to keep these two apart. So he says, I'm just going to take her out of school altogether. I'm going to marry her to somebody else. Then the princess says to Vanke, listen, Vanke, I love you and I want to be with you, but my father thinks I should marry somebody else. Here is some money. Please go find a sorceress to see whether anything can be done. So Vanke goes along with that money, finds a sorceress. He says, sure, I can help you. So she gives Vanke a ring, and he says, give this to the princess. If she puts it on halfway, she will fall ill, but when she puts it on all the way, she will die. But she gets buried, and you take her out again, pick her up again, and then she'll take the ring off and she'll become alive again. And so it happens on the wedding day, when the princess was supposed to be married to some other guy, the guy that her father wanted her to marry. She put the ring half and she fell sick, and then when the doctors of the king were all looking at her, she puts it on all the way and she dies. After a couple of days, she was still the same, dead, and she got buried. So then Vanke obviously was not looking very much forward to this part of the job, so to speak, but yes, he did, and he drank a lot, and he dug up the princess, took the ring off, and sure enough, she came back to life. It took her some days to recover, but eventually she did. And her and Vanke opened a shop to earn some money, a clothing shop, a linen shop. And one day the king comes by that shop to buy some of that fine linen that they sold. And he says to Vanke, God, your assistant looks just like my daughter. Oh, I miss her so much. Then Vanke says to the king, you should really get over that grief. Why don't you organize a big party for everybody. So maybe you can get in a bit of a different mood. So the king follows up on that and does that and invites everybody, and a big party is going on. Now everybody was there except the princess, his daughter, the assistant of Vanke in the shop. And the king looks for her, couldn't find her. In the meantime, Vanke had gotten all the guests to tell stories to each other. And when it is his turn to tell a story, he says, okay, help me with solving this particular story, the issue that I raised. He says, once upon a time, there was a guy who had a vineyard, wine, to make wine. And all of his vines were very beautiful, but one of them was really shriveled up, withered. And so people say, oh, you have a beautiful vineyard, but that one, withered one really doesn't fit. So the guy takes it off and throws it on the road. Now a poor guy finds it on the road, picks it up, plants it in the tree, and takes really good care of it. And so after a while, that tree, that vine becomes beautiful again. Then the owner comes by, the original owner, and says, I want my vine back. And now Vanke, as the storyteller, says to everybody in the audience, to who does this vine really belong? To the original vineyard owner, or to the one who really cared for it and picked it up? And everybody said, well, to the poor man, of course. And Vanke gave a signal to the princess. Then the princess comes out, all dressed up beautiful as a princess. And first she embraces Vanke, then she embraces her father, and then her mother. And then Vanke says, so to who does she belong? To you as parents, or to me who saved her? And of course, everybody says, to you. And so the king also, accepted this fully, and they were married and happily together. Okay, they lived ever happily together. I'm telling you this story because quite a lot of parents think they own their children, that the children belong to them, that they can just say what those children should be, who they should marry or whatever. I think a more appropriate way of saying is that children are not owned by their parents, they just came through their gate. Thank you.